Today I'm going to talk about something I haven't spoken before. I've given many speeches, many lectures, but this is one topic I haven't spoken about. All of us use a mirror. I'm sure you have one in your house. We all look in the mirror. We see ourselves. But 99% of us use it for dressing up or just seeing that we are presentable. But there is another way you can use the mirror. You can look into the mirror to see your soul, to see what's within you. Try this sometimes. It's a very fascinating experiment that you can do. Sit in front of the mirror and look into your own eyes. Stare into your own eyes. See, normally when you go in front of the mirror, you look, at your appearance and say, I'm very beautiful, or I'm good looking, or I'm presentable, fine, I can go out now. Whatever you use the mirror for. Now when you look into the mirror, sit in front and look into your own eyes. Stare into your own eyes. It will be an amazing experience, believe me. What will happen? After a few minutes, the face in front of you will change drastically sometimes. You might not even recognize that face. It will be that much of a change. When you look into your own eyes, you're looking into your soul. When somebody said that the eyes are the mirror of the soul, yes, that was a fact. It's very true. You will virtually feel you are looking within yourself. But you'll be amazed at the change of face. The face will change. Now why? Why will the face change when you stare into the mirror and look at yourself? You see, because after a certain time, your eyes will catch your mental makeup, your mental face. Not the physical face, the mental face. So what you will see inside the mirror is what is going on in your mind. Therefore, if you are in, say, a happy state of mind, you will actually see a young, smiling yourself. It will be yourself, but a little transformed into, say, a smiling, happy face, probably younger. If you are depressed, or if you, have a lot of negative thoughts in your mind in that period of time, you'll find a very scary face in front of you. You'll probably be shocked to see, is that my face? I can't be looking like this. Or if you're going through some kind of physical problems or some illness or something, you'll find a very old and haggard face. This is your mental makeup which will come forth. But that aside, that will go away. It won't stay for too long. If you shift your eyesight, it will go away. What will your eyes reveal? What part of your soul will your eyes reveal? When you first look into yourself, when you look within, the first recognition is that of the ego. Who are you? When you look at yourself in the mirror for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever time, that first question that comes in, who am I looking at? Who is this? I mean, after the first 1 minute of thinking, oh, nice looking person, after that, your question will be, who am I looking at? Now, this is where a dialogue or communication or thought process will start in your mind. Who is this? Who am I? What is this ego that I am looking at? Because after some time the persona disappears. Then you're looking at somebody who's not you. You feel like that. So then who is it? Now, what you are recognizing is the soul. But this soul identifies itself as the ego. Now, ego is not a bad word. It is not a villain that most people think it to be. Ego is only an identification. It is a means by which a soul, a Atma, has personal identification. And you have to have that. If you are to exist in this world, if you are to exist in any dimension at any point of time, you need certain individual identification. You cannot exist without that. Even an avatar, even the greatest of saints, even they have a certain identification. Every energy that takes form has an identification. Every soul that is created must have an identification. And that identification is what we term as ego, loosely we term as ego. Now, when does this become a problem? When does it cause a problem? You see, your soul or Atma, if it did not have an identity, it would have been homogeneous. Means all of us would have been like identical robots. Like how a factory manufactures a similar piece of a certain item without differentiation, we would have been like that. But we are not like that. Every soul is different. But before it became different, it was homogeneous. And that ansh, that pure spark became the ego. How? When Atma, your soul, got married to ignorance, it produced ego or ahankar. So the marriage of the soul with ignorance produces the ego or ahankar. Now, this ego, as I said, is not bad. It's an individuality, it's an identity that you have. And each soul must be identified. But since it has married ignorance, it has to evolve and it has to grow. And that is what the whole journey is about. That's what existence is about. Evolution. a remarkable thing about your identity, your persona, there are various categories that it will fall into. As I said, ego is not a villain, but it can become a villain, and it can give you some trouble, and it does most of the time. When and how? You see, when an individual soul takes a human form and it evolves out of gross ignorance, because at the beginning of its evolutionary cycle it is grossly ignorant, and slowly as it takes experiences, lifetime after lifetime, eons go in that, it evolves, it educates itself, becomes more enlightened in various stages, builds on certain qualities, certain abilities, certain talents which it acquires along the way. Now, when a soul is devoid of all that, or has very few such evolutionary cycles, and yet thinks that it is God's gift to mankind, yes, then your ego is, we say the person is an egotist or an egoist. That is one end of the spectrum. After that, there are souls who have developed certain qualities, who have refined, I would say, and show that refinement, but like to display it with an attitude. These are ones we call arrogant. So then the ego gets this label of arrogant. One is the egotist, who's got nothing but thinks he or she is everything. That is the egotist. Then you have a person who does have that refinement, who does have those talents, has capabilities, has abilities, but has an attitude about it and flaunts it. You call that person arrogant. Then there is another category. Those who have all the talents, all the abilities, all the refinement, but don't flaunt it. Don't make a vulgar display of it. Do not use it to cause any hurt or harm to anybody. That is people with self-esteem. Atma-samman. And then there is another large category of people who may or may not have talent, but fail to recognize it within themselves. They are those underconfident, reclusive, defeated people. They feel they have been defeated by life. Not necessarily they have been, but they feel that way. They may have talent, but they don't recognize it. They may be wonderful and have wonderful qualities, but they can't see it. Another person can, but they won't see it. So basically, these are the four spectrums of the ego that you can see. The egotist, the arrogant, the ones with self-esteem, and the underconfident. So when you look into the mirror and you see that soul within, it'll ask you, who do you see? Do you see the egotist? Do you see the arrogant one? Are you the one with self-esteem? Or are you the defeated one? Yes, your eyes will ask you those questions when you look at your soul. And if you feel you are the one with self-esteem, that is the one who has and has recognized the beauty of the soul, the beauty of your humanness, without being arrogant, that will satisfy you. Otherwise, the other answers will frighten you. Yes, it will frighten you when you look into your own eyes and you see somebody other than what you expected. Now what do we do? To hide who is really behind the face, we put more faces. We wear more masks on our faces. There are so many masks that we wear all through our lives. Some are useful. I'm not saying they are all worthless. No. There are some masks that need to be worn. Some masks need to be worn temporarily. But we forget we've put them on and we keep them forever. And some masks that have no business being there, but yet you put them on. What are they? What are the masks we wear through our lives? It depends on what kind of a life you have. It depends on what you're going through. You wear that mask, one of the most common masks that you wear is to hide your sadness, your sorrow, your hurt. That is the most common mask that is worn. Because you don't want to show the world that you are hurt, that you are vulnerable. Sometimes it's good you need to have that mask. Because otherwise people can take advantage of you. But there is a time when that mask must come off. When you can't keep showing the world that all is well, when you are torn inside, when you are in tatters inside. It won't serve a purpose beyond a certain time. And you have to know when that mask comes off. When it is time to move on. When it is time to leave the past behind. Release it. Tear that mask off. Face your life and your destiny. And say, fine, this is what I went through, but now I'm going to heal, I'm going to come out of it, I'm going to fight back. Fight back not necessarily by hurting or harming somebody. That is not fight back. Fight back means to come out of your own misery. How you do it depends on you. You can do it with the means of knowledge, with the means of enlightening yourself. You can do it through some spiritual sadhana or practice. Or you can just decide one day enough is enough. I'm not going to be kept down. I'm not going to get bogged by my own misery anymore. I'm going to move on. I'm going to face life. And I'm going to be going to change. So whatever means or method you employ, that depends on you, that depends on your circumstances, that depends on your nature, your personality, your inclination. But that mask has to come off. And it is more important for you to recognize you're wearing a mask for it to come off. If you are in denial, how will you remove that mask? So one of the first masks that need to be ripped off is the mask of sorrow. There's a movie called The Mask of Zorro. But most of us put on a mask of sorrow. Then there's another mask that you wear. That of anger and hatred. You conceal your deep-rooted anger towards some people, maybe a group of people sometimes, or your hatred towards somebody. When you meet them, you smile and you welcome them, give them a cup of tea, but inside you want to take a nice big carving knife and carve their heart out. That's the mask you wear. So that mask of anger and hatred. Yes, sometimes it serves a purpose. You can't go around killing people. But you can't go on hating and harboring that anger all your life. That needs to come off too. Because that's very destructive. That mask is going to do more destruction to you than anything else. It's going to carve you up, your insides. So many diseases, so many problems, physical problems, are a direct result of your anger and hatred. Then you care to know, or which science will ever acknowledge. If you could just rip that off, believe me, 70 to 80% of your physical problems will disappear overnight. That is how resilient the body is. That is how powerful your consciousness is. It can do amazing things. Believe me, your medicines in the future, I'm talking 30 years from now, 40 years from now, your medication will be linked to your consciousness. Today you have only a chemical composition for your medication. 30 to 40 years from now, it will be linked to your consciousness, not chemicals. Because scientists will discover how important it is to change the way you think and the way you feel to heal physical problems. They are discovering there is a great change in the way medicine is researched nowadays. They do give a lot of importance to the mental and emotional state, but they don't know how to manipulate it or how to correct it so that your dependence on chemicals becomes less. But believe me, that will happen in the next 25-30 years. But if you can get rid of that mask of anger, hatred that you are concealing, you can do wonders to yourself, to your health. And virtually overnight. within a very short period of time. So that is another mask that needs to come off at some point of time. Then the mask of fear. We hide so many of our fears, or we hide behind them. We put on a tough exterior. We show that we are not scared, when actually we are. This mask of fear also is a big contributor to your, not only your ill health, but to a lot of problems you face in your relationships. So many people come to me with problems, with issues, I would say, not problems. And I do only one thing. I rip off this mask of fear from their face. And believe me, they get fabulous results. All I do is tell them, I'm behind you. Do what you want. I'll take care of the situation. By saying that, I just rip that mask of fear off. And they produce amazing results, things that they've never been able to do before. Why? Because I've ripped off that mask behind which they hid, behind which their fears were playing havoc. So at some point, if you remove that mask of fear that hides your fears, you will be able to live a far more fulfilling life, far more gratifying life, and definitely a more productive life. Most of your failures in life is because of perceived fears. They may or may not exist, but you perceive them. And they hold you back. They prevent your potential. They prevent you from living a more, I would say, exciting life, something that will bring you inner fulfillment. You're always scared. You're always hiding behind this mask of fear. Then there is another mask. Where you show the world something that you are not. Why should you? Why should you have this mask? Why should you be ashamed of showing who you are, what you are? Ultimately, you are going to be who you are. Why have this mask? Why have the deception? Be free to have the strength to show who you are. Because at some point, you will get suffocated in this mask. You can put on a show for some period of time. You can show the world what you are not for some period of time. Then it gets suffocating. And then you live a life which is not yours. Why do you do that? What is the need? What is the compulsion? If you remove that mask, you will feel a sense of ultimate freedom. That you can be who you are. Yes, you will always fear acceptance. If I remove my mask, will I be accepted? Of course you'll be accepted. Maybe it will take time. But at least you are fulfilled, you are satisfied. Why do you need to have those masks for the benefit of other people? Why do you want to suffocate for somebody else's gratification? Because somebody else wants you to be a certain way, feel a certain way. You can't please everybody all the time. Best is to be yourself. People will come to accept it. And then finally there is a mask of our own perceptions. Whom we perceive. Who we think we are. Sometimes those masks are necessary. But you must know when their utility is over. Yes, say you're going for an interview. You've got to show you're confident, even if your liver is getting fried inside. Fine. But that has a limited utility. There are certain masks which you wear for a short period of time for a certain purpose. But when the purpose is over, we've got to discard that mask. Sometimes you wear the mask of authority. To show authority. If you're in a position of power, you need to display that authority to people who work for you or who are dependent on your directions. But then there is a shelf life for that. There is a time for that. When it's over, you discard that. You can't keep it on all the time. You can't use it everywhere. So we hide behind all these various masks in our life. And in changing these masks, like we change clothes, we forget who we really are. We forget what lies within and beneath these false faces that we put on. You have to look beyond, you have to look within, you have to look deeper. And as you tear off each mask, you will see a light shining within, a glow. You may not understand it, but you will see the real you is not what you thought, what you saw. There is someone within that is so beautiful. Someone within that is crying for love. Someone within that can do with a little tenderness. Someone within that wants to give and not take. Someone within that is strong, quiet, non-judgmental, and at peace. But you can't see that person. You can't see that within you. That soul is hidden. Because so many masks have been put on. And you're changing them so fast every day. So many times a day sometimes. You're putting one mask and then changing it. By evening you've got into another mask and then by night you're in another mask. What you need to do is look beyond that. See the soul. See what is behind and within all these perceptions that you've had about yourself. And that happens in a lot of silence. It cannot happen in the chaos of your mental activity, because that will distract you. It has to happen in deep silence. And you have to learn how to take each mask out. Remove it. Place it aside. And see the shining person within.